Well, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the USQ Media and Communication Breakfast. It's great to have you with us this morning. We'd like to start off firstly, though, with our acknowledgement of country, and in the spirit of reconciliation, the University of Southern Queensland recognises that it's situated on country for which the Jagera, Yuggera and Yuggarapuul people have been custodians over many centuries and on which they have performed age-old ceremonies and celebrations, initiations and renewal. We acknowledge their living culture and unique role in the life of this region and offer our deep appreciation for their contribution to and support of our academic enterprises. I'd like to acknowledge on behalf of the University, Sylvia Getz, our Acting Executive Director, Marketing and Student Engagement. Welcome, Sylvia. Also to our industry partners, Alex Garupoli for 7 Network, Head of Local Production. Welcome, Alex. And also Jerry O'Leary, Training Manager for NEP. Welcome, Jerry. And an apology from Shane O'Brien, who was to be with us from River 949, but is fallen ill, like so many people at this time of year. So we trust that he gets well very, very soon. It is fantastic to have over 15 of our schools within this region represented. So it's wonderful. So well done you. So wonderful to have you with us. So many familiar faces, which is even more exciting to see that as we're building relationships, that it's kind of like welcome back rather than welcome. And it's good to have you with us on this occasion. The media breakfast is, of course, about being able to give us a chance to actually chat about what's happening in the industry, to catch up and looking at how we can actually continue our work together, which is very, very important to, I know, both organisations. So it's important that we get this sort of time to step back and to actually take a moment in the busyness of life to actually enjoy these sort of times, but also to strategise about how we might build those relationships. So we look forward to those conversations through the morning. Our role as a leading university is to provide students with that knowledge and skill to be able to not only perform the various tasks that they need to do, particularly in our industry context, but also around problem solving and communication skills as well. And they are both obviously verbal and written. To be job ready on the completion of their degree is our aim, and that is a holistic view to that outcome. We are #1 university in Australia for graduate employability, as recognised by Good University Guide in 2017. We have 6 academics with us who will be addressing you through the course of the morning, just in very short, sharp presentations around the tables to just catch you up on some of the things that are happening within our program. So we look forward to being able to bring that with you this morning as well. But look, I just wanted to quickly mention from our own space within television and radio that we're continuing. This is kind of a bit of a report card after our last breakfast back in July last year for those who were able to attend. So we're still enjoying some very good employment outcomes for our students, and for all those who have graduated now in the last 2 to 3 years are now fully employed or pursuing their own academic studies. So we've got some who are continuing on. You'll be pleased to have a meeting this week where one of our students finishing the education around media studies is now going on to do their Masters in Education and has decided they want to be a classroom teacher. It's something that they feel very passionate about. So it's great to see as people grow and mature and develop in their own life that they start to see where they want to head. And it is always a bit of an interesting journey, as we all know, making those kind of life decisions so early in life. So, but it's great to see that that's happening. I do want to just do a little bit of a kind of a dad brag thing, if I can, where we've got one of our students who's just been nominated into the ACRAs, which is the Commercial Radio Australia's national awards, and he's been put up for Best Producer, and which is very exciting. So that's with the Resonate group, and he's been working away on a program for the last 3 years. I think he's been working on that show. So that's with Ben Dobbin, who's probably best known to you in sport, but he does this regional program on that network. So it's exciting to see many of our people taking out awards. We've had 2 in the time since I've seen you take out awards with 9 News for Best Newcomers into the news space through QTQ here in Brisbane. So that's been good to see them being recognised nationally in that space as well. But we're seeing continued employment with 9 and 7 News regionally, and I had one of those wonderful emails yesterday from Sally Young with 7 News Queensland, just acknowledging a new social media person who they put on, one of our graduates, and how well he's doing. So it's great to see that through the process of education, and we recognise that that hasn't happened here, it's happened with you through high school, through primary, high school, and then through here. So it's something that I'm sharing with you for us all to celebrate because it's a wonderful outcome. So we also turned 10. I know I look a little bit older than that, but it's not. We turned 10 since we saw you last, and that was for our radio station. So we celebrated. A number of you were able to come along to our 10th birthday. In fact, I found myself asking, was that this year? Because I don't know about you, but it's really galloping very fast. So we did that back in February, and that was 10 years since Phoenix Radio had started. We're continuing our outside broadcast with as many schools as we can possibly do, and I think we're trying to finalise the last of those. So we'll be coming to a school near you, and that's for our radio OBs coming up through September, October, as we come toward the end of this year. And finally, we have our 2-day experience. This is a cheap plug. Our 2-day experience program where we're looking at doing for radio, for television and for film, and that will be running on the 24th and 25th of September. So it's in the school break. David's going to be sending out information to you, so please keep an eye out for that. That is looking to encourage students who are in Year 11 and 12 who would like to come over here on a school holiday program, 2 days, and it's just a chance to pull together a program and work through those processes, be it TV, radio or film. So keep that in mind, please, because it will be a good opportunity. And it's something we're just trialling to see how we might actually move that forward into other programs as we build up over the coming years. So let's move on though to some of our, because you've heard enough from me, but that's a bit of a kind of a report card, if you like, around some of the things that we're doing. So our industry with Alex and Jerry and Spencer, who kind of straddles between the two worlds, here in the academic world and also keeping a foot in the ABC camp. We're going to be hearing from Spencer just to update a little bit around the radio space as well this morning. So it is, though, my pleasure to introduce firstly our first guest, Alex Garipoli from 7 here in Brisbane, and we're always very delighted about the relationships that we have with the various industry partners, and 7, and also want to acknowledge Kylie, who's with us as well, and with Kylie and Fiona, who's been really at the front line, I guess, in the sense of helping get students into placement through the local productions. And as Alex knows, on my soapbox about local production, that I'm so excited to see a network taking local production so seriously. So we're excited about that, and it's wonderful to have students being able to get into placements and to be around the industry and to have that input. And then Emily, who also comes down from 7 Social Media to speak to our students, usually on an annual basis. So it's wonderful to have those meaningful relationships with our various network partners. So we're going to ask you, Alex, if you would be happy to come forward, please, and as Head of Local Production for 7 Network, to just bring some of the industry updates and that information. So would you please welcome Alex Garipoli. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Ashley. It's a real pleasure to be here today, and I'm looking forward to my breakfast as well. So I guess a good way to start is with a bit of background. So 7 Queensland recommenced production in-house back up at Mount Coot about 2 years ago, and I was brought in to make that happen, assemble a team together and start creating content again in Brisbane for the Queensland market. In the past 12 months, we've produced over 180 half-hour episodes of local programming going out on Channel 7, also repeated on 7.2 as well as 7 Plus and other platforms within 7 West Media. As well as that, we've produced several, probably 3 or 4 one-hour specials that go out on the main channel. We produce a whole suite of short-form content that sits on digital and social channels. It doesn't sit within Channel 7. So producing content for the local market on all the distribution channels available to us is really, what we're about. I guess if we think about why 7 has looked at exploring this, this opportunity. It's really because I think there's so much globalised content that's available to be consumed. If you think about all of the video on-demand streaming services and just the massive amount of choice we have to be entertained. It's all globalised. It doesn't. We need to question how directly, this content is speaking to us as an audience. So we've sort of, looking at it from the other side, saying, okay, well, our core focus is the local audience, and how do we really effectively speak to that audience? And I think, we've in the last 2 years, we've seen our TV ratings for our local programs up, in some cases 10, 20%, which is really pleasing. But, trying to identify exactly why that is a bit tricky. But I think, it's hard to deny that our efforts and our social media strategy that sit behind that actually, doesn't have a really big part to play. Of course, it's very difficult to identify exactly why that is. But if you think about we're accessing a younger audience through our digital and social channels, and we have our traditional older audience, it's just watching linear television. It's, it's somewhere in the middle where we're seeing a more broader and larger audience. So that means we need great people. We need great people to come up and help us tell stories. At the end of the day, it's all about storytelling, and passionate and hard-working, driven people is sort of the future for our, for television. I think we're seeing the biggest shift, I think, now internally with our organisation anyway, is more of a focus on what we specialise in, that is telling stories. So whether that's through sport, through news, local content, it's sort of stripping away the other parts of the business that traditionally have been sort of profitable. I think it's something that is now looked upon in a different way. Okay, working with Ashley has been for the last couple of years, and with the best and brightest of USQ has been great for our team. There's a 10-week program. We've had about 5 people go through in the last couple of years. We have 3 more students coming up, commencing shortly. It's I see not only great benefit for the students, but it's also great benefit for my team, where they're having to articulate and communicate the creative process. So they're growing and developing as well. So that's, as a leader, as a manager, it's hugely important for me that I can see the satisfaction and my team are getting out of working with these younger people. And I'll just say, finally, I'm a product of an organisation like this from the mid-'80s, when it was sort of, the days of colleges. So I'm really, proud to be, working together and see the success of, some great young people come through. Thanks.
Thanks, Alex. So we're going to get you to turn your attention to either the Megatron, that we fondly call it, above you, or the screen here to my right. And we're going to take a look at a product that is called Anyone, Anywhere, as a precursor to our next speaker from NEP. So let's take a look at this innovation for outside broadcast.
A traditional OB for me would mean getting up at the crack of dawn, having to drive to the airport, sit on a plane for 5 hours, then waiting for a hire car, and then having to make my way through an unfamiliar city to an unfamiliar ground. The mindset when I'm doing a hub game is that all the worry is taken out of it.
It's funny, tonight we're live from 4,000 kilometres away. Perth is, a significant distance away from where we are, and yet the only thing that's in Perth are the cameras.
Right, we got everyone in Perth.
Anyone, anywhere. Both Fox Sports and NEP have replaced the traditional outside broadcast method of workflow, where commentators, all the camera operators, everything that you see out in the field is still there, but we've removed our production guys to produce out of the hub.
It is unbelievable that I can be in one state, yet the OB is in a completely another state of Australia.
The consumption model of broadcast is changing massively. People want everything, anywhere, all the time. In order to keep pace with that, it can't be siloed operations limited by who can be where and when they can do it.
We're maxed out on all the freelancers in the industry. We're flying our best producers and best directors to Perth and Adelaide and Melbourne, effectively taking them out of action for a couple of days. And The distributed production hub model allows us to cover more sport at a better quality. That's the really important part of it. We're getting more work out of our best guys, and therefore the product will be better.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this TB broadcast in Perth. We're in the hub here at Redfern.
It was really important to NEP to make sure that the user experience was exactly the same.
FM to Director.
Yes, James?
The bus isn't coming in until 5:30.
Okie dokes. Well, whenever they get here, they'll do that. One thing we do
that using the video conferencing, and you'll see video conferencing cameras all around both facilities and all around the trucks. We put the camera operators on their cameras a little bit early. They look at the return as if they would look at the return for their program or for something else that's happening. And we've got a key that we use called our meeting key. When we press that, the director camera is put basically on every screen in the IP truck so that everyone in any cabin can see him and be part of that meeting.
Up until today, it's been 1,600 kilometres that the hub has been working on, but today it is 4,452. So it's a world first, so congratulations for being part of it. Thank you very much. Someone's clapping. Murray's clapping. Clap yourselves. Give yourselves a round of applause. Ready, 300 mix. Bravo, roll Bravo, transition. 2, find me number 5 for Central Coast, please.
It's a fully redundant, fully resilient, and fully monitored network. By not using any compression, we have the lowest latency, we have the best picture quality.
You're looking at our product now, and it is. I actually think it's visually better because we're uncompressed to the Sydney hub.
These faders on the screen are a representation of the faders on the truck in Perth. As Alex moves the faders here, that's what's happening in Perth.
Operationally, it's very much the same as what we're doing, but underneath the hood, it's a lot more. That blows my mind how complicated that is, and it works so well.
Anyone, anywhere, it basically says it's actually totally achievable to have people split across the network and put them anywhere. You can have a truck in one city that you can put production teams in, whereby 2 people can be in city A, 3 people can be in city B, and 3 people can be sitting at one of the 2 hubs, and they can all work together.
Camera 1's clear, thank you, good night, well done. 7, we will be using you for a news cross. This is the future of TV production. There's absolutely no reason why any broadcast can't be covered like this from now on. It's easy for everyone, the broadcast isn't compromised, and it is a lot more efficient.
We want to really improve the production quality. We want to make it better. So we now have more consistent crew. We have consistent crew because we don't travel people as much. People are less tired. People are more familiar with the environment they're in. And if you look at that alone, sure, it's great to have the cost savings and it's great to have the benefits that come with that, but it's fantastic to have a more efficient environment with crew that are familiar, that do the same projects over and over again.
So a little bit of a future focus, well actually a present and future focus. And to just take us a little bit more around some of that background, would you please welcome Jerry O'Leary, the training manager for NEP. And as Jerry comes up, when we spoke to you last breakfast, we were looking forward to the Com Games, and we've been there and done that. Hey? So we had over 40 of our students attend, and I'm sure Jerry will allude to that, but it was certainly a massive undertaking. So I want to say publicly thank you so much for all of the hard work you put into that, because it was a long time. It was a lot of hard work to bring all that together, but it was a great reward. So we thank you very much for that. So I'll hand over to you. Okay. Thanks, Jerry.
It's great to be here, and really do love our relationship that we have with the University of Southern Queensland, because Ashley, who's at the helm here in the TV division, really gives the students a quality of sense of the broadcast craft and a love of the craft, and that's what we need. We need those operators out there who really love their craft, because that's so important to us. Just a bit of background about who NEP is. We're the largest facilitator of outside broadcasts in Australia. We have a fleet of 18 outside broadcasts that travel around Australia that do many productions. We have about 180 full-time staff, essentially based in Melbourne and Sydney and Queensland, one in Adelaide and one over in Perth. And we hire anywhere between 400 and 600 freelance broadcast operators from Thursday through to a Monday. Our clients are Channel 7, Fox Sports, Channel 9, SBS, ABC. So all the broadcasters, all the free-to-air television networks, as well as the producers, Endemol Shine, Fremantle Media. So the producers come to us to facilitate their programming, and they hire our equipment, our engineers, our communication technicians, our IP, and I say that as intellectual property in terms of our engineering brains to create their workflows and provide them with the best facilities and the best way to make their programming. We do shows like The Voice, like Ninja Warriors. As I said, the producers come to us. In terms of sport, sport is a huge business. Live sport will always be part of the Australian ethos, a part of our culture. So live television is a really important factor. It's funny how sport has not been seen as part of the creative industry. It sort of sits a little bit to the side of the creative industry, but sport is telling a story. Live sport is creative, it's very creative, because you're telling a story in real time. When you watch a movie, you see the credit roller go through and you see the hundreds of people who work on a movie. When you see a live sport broadcast, you don't see that credit roller go through and the number of people that it took to make that program. But those skills and getting to that point of practicing those skills, from a cameraman following, a golf ball through the air and being able to find that golf ball in the sky, especially if it's, a white sky because it's cloudy, and pull focus and see it land on the green. A slips cameraman covering the cricket. And talking about cricket, we'll be facilitating the cricket for both Channel 7 and for Fox Sports. Over the summer, cricket starts in September with the JLT Cup. We finish our winter season with AFL, NRL, A-League's about to start, and cricket with over 140 live transmission days of cricket alone that we do. So that means there's a truck there, there's a crew of up to 60 people there, there's producers, directors, and at the moment with the hub is a fantastic it's the new technology. However, it's only just beginning. It's only just beginning, and Fox Sports are the only clients that are using that. Otherwise, it's traditional OBs for Channel 7 and for the other clients as well that we facilitate for. So, in terms of the craft of live sport will always be there. So we need skilled operators, and our relationship with the University of Southern Queensland, we were the host broadcasters of the Commonwealth Games earlier this year, and as Ashley alluded to, we had 40 students work with us on the Commonwealth Games. And what I loved about the University of Southern Queensland students were their work ethic, their camaraderie, their ability to understand how a team works and their place in the team and what part they play in the team to produce the best coverage possible. Because with live TV, you only have one bite at the cherry, and the moment is gone unless you seize it. And to be able to seize it, you need to be trained and skilled in your craft. And with the amazing facilities here at the University of Southern Queensland, we saw students from USQ come to us who had skills. And obviously on something like the Commonwealth Games, it is an international event. We couldn't put them on camera, but they were certainly there assisting the camera people, and they were gaining experience. And we do up to 3 live outside broadcasts a week in Queensland. And we have an integrated learning program with USQ where we have the students come out and work with industry people, work on the outside broadcasts. A lot of those students have then gone into news because they've gained a little bit of confidence. They've got to know industry people, and it's, well, I can do this, and it's given them a leg up to then go into the news area. But then once they're in that news area, they'll do that for a couple of years and they'll come back to us and they'll be skilled, more skilled in their craft. So our relationship with USQ is extremely important. The technology is evolving, but we need to, there is a career pathway in live broadcasting, especially in sport. So encouraging young people, it doesn't matter what platform. Yes, they might be watching their live sport on their telephone, on their tablet, it doesn't matter. We have to still make that product. So I thank the University of Southern Queensland, Ashley, Damien Quinn. It's about our relationship with this university that allows the next generation of young people to come through, because we do have a lot of older people in our industry, because traditionally they were trained in networks, but networks don't really hire full-time people a lot anymore. They do in news and current affairs, and it's good to see some local product happening. We need more of that, but essentially, you know, our relationship is really important, and so I'm very grateful for Ashley, and we're very lucky to have Ashley here and the facilities at the University of Southern Queensland, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerry. And again, I hope you found that very insightful, because it is interesting to see where the industry is moving to. So just before we get you to breakfast, there's a little tease for you. We're going to, who better to have just before breakfast than the man who used to keep you entertained before, during and slightly after breakfast and on your way to work. Would you please welcome our own Spencer Howson. Thanks, Spencer.
Thank you. Morning, everyone. Just on the sport and the idea of following a golf ball, we do, as it says on the cards, the postcards that you have on the table, we do have live sport coverage that the students here are involved with through the Ipswich Jets Rugby League Club, and so we do outside broadcasts. And there was a week not so long ago where they were short one camera. So I said, yeah, I can do that. I can do camera on a football. I mean, you know, I know nothing about sport. But they put me on the easiest camera, the one in the middle. All I had to do was this, and rugby league, that's all that rugby league is, right? Just left, right. Man, at one point I had the director, one of the students, screaming at me, what's going on? Where's the ball? So I don't know how you chase a golf ball, because a rugby league ball is hard enough. As Ashley said, I straddle a couple of worlds these days, having spent 25 years at the ABC as a breakfast presenter for most of that time. I'm back at the ABC 2 days a week, travel around the country. My role is Program Quality Advisor with ABC Regional and Local, so I've got 48 radio stations that I look after all over the country. I was in Townsville this week. I'm off to Warrnambool and Mount Gambier next week, then Rockhampton, Lismore, and that'll do for September. And the other half of the week I spend here at the university teaching the radio students. So that's my world these days. I'm sort of involved with coaching radio all week, students for part of the week, and then early career broadcasters and mid-career broadcasters, and some jaded late career broadcasters as well for the rest of the week. I guess I just wanted to take the opportunity to say how healthy radio is, because there's a lot of talk about how the media is changing, and surely people aren't listening to radio anymore. Well, if you think about all the audio that you listen to in your day, and it's about 3 hours of audio that you listen to in a day, that's the average Australian, the latest figures we have from the end of last year, 65% of that is live Australian radio. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes per person on average every day, listening to live Australian radio. That's in the car, taxi, shops, work, wherever you are, 2 hours and 10 minutes a day. So it's very healthy. Radio is very healthy. There are over 5,000 people working in the radio industry in Australia. As I mentioned, 48 ABC local stations that I'm involved with, plus Triple J Classic FM, the other national ABC stations. Add to that all the commercial stations. All these stations have breakfast shows, and when you look at the ABC stations, they have morning shows, afternoon shows, drive shows. They all have presenters, they all have a producer or producers. And I'm not even talking about the newsrooms, not even talking about journalists, that's completely separate. This is people involved in the production of radio programs. So there's a lot of jobs, and audio, I'm going to make a bold prediction here, audio will, just like live sport, will always be a thing, can't be replaced. Audio as a medium will always be a thing. It's the only medium that you can take in while you're doing other things. So it might not be radio in 50 years' time, but audio will be a thing. It's just the way people are taking it in has changed. So that radio that I mentioned, that live Australian radio, 17% of that people listen to on phones or tablets now. A year ago it was 12%, and the year before that it was 3% listening on phones and tablets. So you can just see it's just shifting how people take it in. The best bit is that there's a shortage of people wanting to get into radio. So from an ABC point of view, I'm on job panels for the ABC, and I also get emails regularly as part of my role saying, who do we know that can go to Broome to fill in for 3 months as a producer on breakfast? Who do we know that can present breakfast in Port Lincoln? Port Lincoln, we advertised recently for a breakfast presenter. We had 12 applicants, and half of them had no radio experience at all. There are people who have to apply for jobs for Centrelink reasons, and, that's probably that's what happens. So we had 6 people with any notion of what radio really is wanting that job. And the thing is that it's because people think they can get a job straight away in the capital cities. And that's not going to happen all the time. It can happen. It's not going to happen all the time. So my focus here is telling the students how wonderful the rest of Australia is. And so I'll tell them in class this morning how wonderful Townsville is. Next week I'll tell them, hopefully, I've never been, but I'll be there next week, how wonderful Warrnambool and Mount Gambier are. Because that's where the jobs are. And it's the same in commercial radio. So a woman who does the breakfast show on Hit in Coffs Harbour, Annabelle Brett is her name, contacted me about a month ago, and she said, Spencer, we're desperate. We can't find people to go to country areas for the Hit network. When the Toowoomba breakfast presenter for Hit finished up this year, it took them 10 weeks to find someone to go to Toowoomba. Toowoomba. It's not that far away. We've got a campus there. And Annabelle contacted me 2 nights ago, texted me at home to say, okay, we need someone to go to Orange. Who have you got? And she's going to come and talk to the students in a couple of weeks' time. So there are jobs. They're not necessarily in the capital cities. So if you've got students who show any sign of being interested in radio, encourage them. And there are 2 things they need. One is curiosity, and that's the main one, and I don't think you can teach that. So you need curiosity, and you need storytelling, the ability to tell stories. So by curious, I mean if you're the sort of person who, when you're driving down the freeway, you notice that that billboard is different to what it was yesterday. Or if you're having dinner and you notice lots of feral cats around the restaurant, as I noticed in Townsville earlier this week. Cat reference, drink. That's the sort of person that makes a great radio presenter or producer. And then you just need to be able to tell those stories on radio. So just quickly about what we do here. This is the only university in Queensland with a radio station, a 24/7 radio station. The students produce and present their own radio shows and podcasts, plus we have them producing shows in the style of the ABC and in the style of commercial radio. They're using the software that's used in the industry. They're using the hardware that's used in the industry. Dom Fay, who does the night show on Hit, came not so long ago to talk to the students. He walked into the studio and he said, wow, it's all the same gear. And it is. He could have sat down and done his show just as our students can go to Hit and do a show there. And because of our proximity to Brisbane, we have access to the best people in the business who come and talk to the students, and in return, our students here go and spend time in radio stations. 32 placements this semester in radio stations, Hit, Nova, ABC, and River. And finally, very exciting news, we are about to start providing programming from here for the Resonate network, which is a commercial network that has 9 stations around Queensland. Students are going to sit in Studio B. The hardware is in there, the software is in there ready to go, and all we need to do is work out which students are going to be doing it. But listeners in Charleville, in Charters Towers, places like that, will be turning on their local commercial station and hearing programs coming from this building produced by students like Maya and Adam and Andrew, etc. So when I finished up at the ABC the first time, I got dragged back, as you can tell, but for 2 days a week. When I finished there, this was where I wanted to come and teach, because this place takes radio, presenting and producing seriously. And if you have any students who are interested in radio, there's nowhere I would recommend higher. Thank you.